Commander Sarah Chen stared at the dead alien ship floating in space. Her team had found it 3 days ago, drifting near Alpha Centauri like a ghost. The ship was huge, bigger than anything humans had ever built. Its metal hull was dark and cold, covered in strange symbols that hurt to look at. "Any signs of life?" Sarah asked her science officer, Dr. Marcus Webb. Marcus shook his head. "Nothing. Whatever happened here, it happened a long time ago. Maybe 50 years. Sarah's ship, the UES Prometheus, was on humanity's third deep space mission. They had only learned to travel faster than light 2 years ago. The quantum tunnel drive was new technology, and every trip was still dangerous. But finding this alien ship changed everything. "Take us closer," Sarah ordered. "We need to board that thing." The alien ship was like a maze inside. The hallways were too tall for humans, and everything was built for creatures with 4 arms. Sarah's team moved carefully through the empty corridors. Their lights showed walls covered in more strange symbols and pictures of star maps. They found the ship's computer room in the center. Dr. Elena Vasquez, their computer expert, plugged her equipment into the alien systems. It took 6 hours, but she finally broke through their security. "I'm getting something," Elena said. Her voice was excited but worried. This ship belonged to something called the Zelani Collective. They were wiped out. Sarah moved closer to the screen. "Wiped out by who?" "Something called the Corvathian Empire." Elena's face went pale as she read more data. "Sarah, you need to see this. The Empire doesn't just conquer planets. They study species first, then they destroy them completely. Every single one." The files showed the truth about the Empire. They were old, very old. For 10,000 years, they had moved across the galaxy like a disease. They would find new species, watch them, learn about them, then attack when the time was right. No species had ever survived. Marcus found the worst part. "Look at this," he said, pointing to a star map. "These are all the species the Empire has destroyed. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands." Sarah felt sick. Each dot on the map had been a living world, full of people who had dreams and families. Now, they were all gone. "There's more," Elena said quietly. "I found Earth's location in their files." The room went silent. Sarah's heart stopped beating for a moment. "What do you mean?" she asked. Elena turned the screen so everyone could see. There was Earth, marked with red symbols. Next to it was text in the alien language, but Elena's computer had translated it. Species classification. Primitive hostile. Recommended action. Immediate subjugation, upon fleet availability. Dr. Webb read the file over Elena's shoulder. "They've already studied us. Look at these biological scans. They know everything about human DNA, our physical abilities, even our psychology." Sarah looked at the date on the file. "When was this made?" 3 years ago," Elena whispered. "They've been watching Earth for 3 years." The team kept digging through the alien data. They found the Empire's military records, their fleet movements, their plans. The Empire had a pattern. They would send scout ships to watch new species for years. They learned everything about their targets, how they fought, what they feared, what made them weak. Then they would send a subjugation fleet. These fleets were massive, with ships that could crack planets in half. No species had ever fought back successfully, because the Empire knew exactly how they would react. "Where is the nearest fleet?" Sarah asked. Elena checked the star charts. "The closest subjugation fleet is finishing something called processing in the Thermian system. That's 47 light-years from Earth. How long until they reach us? Based on their travel speeds? About 18 months. Sarah felt the weight of humanity's future on her shoulders. 18 months to prepare for an enemy that had never lost a war. An enemy that already knew humanity's weaknesses. Marcus was still reading the files about destroyed species. Sarah, look at this. Every species they fought followed the same pattern. First contact, then fear, then desperate defense. Every single one tried to negotiate or hide or build bigger weapons. And they all died the same way. The Empire knew exactly what they would do before they did it. Sarah walked to the ship's window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, an alien empire was coming to destroy Earth. They thought humans were just another primitive species that would follow the same pattern as all the others. But Sarah had an idea. A crazy, dangerous idea. We're not going to follow their pattern, she said. Every other species waited for the Empire to come to them. They tried to defend their home worlds. What are you suggesting? Dr. Webb asked. Sarah turned back to her team. We attack them first, while they're busy with the Thermians, before they expect it. Elena stared at her. Attack? Sarah, they have 10,000 years of experience. They've conquered hundreds of worlds. Yes, but they've never fought a species that attacked first. Look at their files. Every species they've faced was reactive. They waited, they defended, they tried to negotiate. We're going to be different. Sarah looked at each member of her team. We're going to study them the way they studied us. We're going to learn their weaknesses. And then we're going to hit them so hard and so fast that they won't know what happened. Marcus shook his head. It's impossible. We barely have a dozen ships with quantum drives. Then we'll build more, Sarah said. We have 18 months and the entire human race. Elena, copy everything from this ship's computers. Every star chart, every fleet position, every piece of data about the Empire. What about the government? Earth Command will never approve a preemptive war. Sarah smiled grimly. They will when they see what's coming. And when they understand that this isn't just about saving Earth. It's about making sure no other species ever goes through what the Zilani did. The team worked for 3 more days, copying every piece of information from the alien ship. When they finally returned to the Prometheus, Sarah sent a message to Earth Command that would change human history forever. Priority Alpha message to Earth Command. We have discovered evidence of an imminent alien invasion. Recommend immediate implementation of Omega Protocol. Time to invasion. 18 months. Time to prepare for war. Starting now. As the Prometheus jumped into quantum space heading for Earth, Sarah looked one last time at the dead alien ship. The Zilani were gone, but their sacrifice would save humanity. The Empire thought they were coming for another easy conquest. They were wrong. Earth changed overnight. When Commander Chen's report reached Earth Command, every alarm in the solar system started screaming. Within 6 hours, every government leader on the planet was in an emergency meeting. The evidence was clear. Humanity had 18 months before an alien empire came to destroy them. The Omega Protocol was something military planners had created, but hoped never to use. It was the plan for defending Earth against an alien threat. Now, it became reality. President Martinez stood before the United Nations Assembly, holding printouts of the alien files. Ladies and gentlemen, everything has changed. An alien empire is coming to destroy our species. They have done this to hundreds of other worlds. We will not let Earth be next. Every nation on Earth put aside their differences. The Terra Defense Coalition was formed in 3 days, combining every military, every scientist, every resource on the planet. Money didn't matter anymore. Politics didn't matter. General Hassan al-Rashid became the coalition's military commander. He had fought in wars across Africa and Asia, but nothing had prepared him for this. We're not just fighting for our countries, he told his staff. We're fighting for our species. Dr. Elena Vasquez led the technology division. She had spent weeks studying the alien files, looking for weaknesses in Empire technology. What she found surprised her. The Empire has advanced technology, she explained to the coalition leaders. But they've used the same technology for thousands of years. They don't innovate because they don't need to. Every species they've fought has been inferior. What's our advantage? General al-Rashid asked. Adaptation, Elena said. Humans have been changing how we fight for our entire history. From spears, to guns, to nuclear weapons, in just a few thousand years. The Empire expects us to fight like every other species they've conquered. Chief Engineer Koji Nakamura was put in charge of weaponizing human technology. He looked at the quantum tunnel drive and saw possibilities the original designers never imagined. If we can modify the drive, Koji explained, we can create quantum mines. These would destabilize space itself. Any ship trying to use faster-than-light travel would be destroyed instantly. The coalition approved the project immediately. Factories around the world began producing quantum mines by the thousands. Meanwhile, Admiral Lisa Armstrong started Operation Prometheus Unbound. Using the star charts from the alien ship, human scout vessels began mapping Empire space. These missions were incredibly dangerous, but they gave humanity its first real look at their enemy. The Empire was vast. Their territory covered thousands of star systems. Their fleets were enormous, with ships the size of cities. But Admiral Armstrong noticed something important in their patrol patterns. They're overconfident, she told General al-Rashid. Look at these fleet positions. They have almost no ships guarding their inner systems. Everything is focused on their borders, watching for new species to conquer. Makes sense, the general replied. No species has ever attacked them in their own territory. Dr. Marcus Webb was studying Empire biology from samples found on the alien ship. What he discovered was disturbing. The Empire had changed themselves over thousands of years, adding technology to their bodies. They were more machine than living creature now. They've lost something, Marcus explained to the science team. The ability to think creatively. Everything they do follows patterns that are thousands of years old. They can't adapt because they've forgotten how. The Coalition's most ambitious project was building new ships. The Scorpion-class stealth vessels combined human stealth technology with captured Empire shield systems. These ships could become invisible to Empire sensors. Captain James Rodriguez was chosen to command the first Scorpion Squadron. He had been a fighter pilot before the discovery. But now he was learning to command a ship that could appear and disappear like a ghost. The Empire has never fought an enemy they couldn't see, Rodriguez told his pilots. We're going to give them a very nasty surprise. As the months passed, humanity prepared for war like never before. Every person on Earth had a job. Factories worked 24 hours a day, building ships and weapons. Scientists worked to understand Empire technology. Military forces trained for battles in space. The Coalition intercepted Empire communications regularly. The aliens had no idea that humans were preparing for war. Fleet Admiral Zektar Voss, commander of the subjugation fleet heading for Earth, sent regular reports back to his commanders. The human species continues standard primitive development, one message said. They remain confined to their single star system. No evidence of significant military capability. Subjugation should proceed according to standard protocol. R8, one message. R8, one message. General al-Rashid laughed when he heard that message. Around him, human engineers were putting the finishing touches on the most advanced war fleet in galactic history. Dr. Vasquez had made another important discovery while studying Empire tactics. They always attack the same way, she explained. First, they destroy a species' communication systems. Then, they attack their military bases. Finally, they assault the homeworld. So we know their playbook, Admiral Armstrong said. Better than that. We know they won't expect us to attack them first. Look at their historical records. Every single species they've conquered waited for the Empire to come to them. The final months of preparation were intense. Human ships began moving into position in Empire space, using quantum tunnels to avoid detection. The Empire's sensors were designed to detect their own technology, not human quantum drives. Commander Chen led a small team to establish a forward base in an empty system near the Empire's naval yards. From here, they could watch Empire fleet movements and coordinate the coming attack. The Empire thinks they're coming to conquer another primitive world, Chen told her team. They have no idea that we've been watching them for over a year. Dr. Webb had spent months creating psychological profiles of Empire commanders. They've never lost a battle. After Webb, he explained, that's their greatest weakness. They can't imagine defeat because they've never experienced it. As the Empire's subjugation fleet moved closer to Earth, human forces moved into their final positions. 17 different Empire systems had human ships hiding in them, waiting for the signal to attack. The Empire's fleet was just 3 days away from Earth when General al-Rashid gave the final order. All units, this is Terra Command. Operation First Strike is now active. Show these aliens what happens when you threaten humanity. Admiral Armstrong stood on the bridge of the human flagship, Terra's Vengeance. Around her, the largest military operation in human history was about to begin. Hundreds of ships were ready to attack across dozens of star systems simultaneously. Remember, she broadcast to all human forces. We're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for every species the Empire has destroyed. We're fighting so this never happens again. The countdown reached 0. Across Empire space, human ships began to appear like ghosts, striking at targets that had never been attacked before. The war had begun, and for the first time in 10,000 years, the Empire was about to discover what it felt like to be the prey instead of the hunter. In the Empire's capital, alarms began to sound. For the first time in their long history, the Empire was under attack, and they had no idea how to respond. The attack began in silence. Across 17 different star systems, human ships appeared from quantum space like deadly ghosts. The Empire had never seen anything like it. Operation Blackout was the first phase. Human stealth ships had been hiding near Empire communication stations for weeks. At exactly 0800 Earth Standard Time, they all struck at once. Within 4 hours, the Empire lost contact with a quarter of their territory. Admiral Lisa Armstrong watched the tactical display from her command ship. Green lights showed successful attacks across dozens of Empire systems. Each light meant another communication relay destroyed, another piece of the Empire's network cut. Blackout is complete, reported her communications officer. The Empire is deaf and blind in all target sectors. Good, Armstrong replied. Begin Phase 2. Show them what real war looks like. Trude. At Zirian Station, the Empire's largest naval yard, workers were building ships when the human fleet appeared. The station was massive, bigger than any human city. It had been building Empire warships for over 3,000 years. Captain Rodriguez led the attack squadron. His ships used quantum tunnel drives to jump directly inside the station's defensive shields. Empire defenders had never seen enemies appear behind their defenses. All ships, focus fire on the construction bays, Rodriguez ordered. We destroy their ability to build more ships. The human ships moved like dancers through space, appearing and disappearing with each quantum jump. Empire defenders fired at empty space, where human ships had been moments before. The humans were always somewhere else. Rodriguez watched as massive construction facilities exploded around him. Ships that had been half-built for decades crumbled into scrap metal. The Empire's largest source of new warships was dying before his eyes. Construction bays destroyed, his weapons officer reported, moving to secondary targets. Negative, Rodriguez said. We've done enough damage here. Jump out before their reinforcements arrive. The human ships vanished as quickly as they had appeared, leaving behind the burning ruins of the Empire's greatest naval yard. The attack had lasted 47 minutes. The station had taken 3,000 years to build. But the real target was Corvathus Prime, the Empire's homeworld. Captain Rodriguez led what appeared to be a desperate frontal assault on the planet. The Empire's home defense fleet moved to stop him, thinking they were facing a suicide attack. Human ships detected approaching the homeworld, reported Admiral Kenthvar, commander of the home fleet. Moving to intercept. These primitives dare to attack our sacred world? Emperor Malachar Korth himself watched the battle from his palace. He was old, even by Empire standards. Having ruled for over 1,000 years, he had seen hundreds of species destroyed, but none had ever been bold enough to attack the homeworld. "How many ships?" the Emperor asked his military advisor. 20 human vessels, my lord. A small force. They cannot hope to succeed. The Emperor smiled. These humans were braver than most species, but they would die like all the others. He ordered the entire home defense fleet to destroy the human ships. But Rodriguez's attack was not the real threat. While Empire forces focused on his ships, Commander Sarah Chen was already on the planet's surface with her infiltration team. They had used experimental quantum teleportation to reach the surface undetected. Their target was the Central Command Nexus, a massive bio-neural network that controlled all Empire military operations across the galaxy. If they could destroy it, the Empire's coordination would collapse. Chen's team moved through the underground tunnels beneath the capital city. The tunnels were old, built by slaves from conquered species thousands of years ago. Now those same tunnels would be used to destroy their builders. "Motion detectors ahead," whispered Sergeant Kim, the team's security specialist. 3 guards. Chen nodded. Her team moved like shadows, trained for this moment. The Empire guards never knew what hit them. Within seconds, the path was clear. Dr. Webb was with Chen's team, carrying equipment to interface with the bio-neural network. As they got closer to the Nexus, he began detecting strange energy readings. "Sarah," he whispered, "this network isn't just a computer. It's something else. Something alive." They reached the Nexus chamber after 2 hours of careful movement. What they found changed everything. The Central Command Nexus was not just a machine. It was a vast bio-neural network created from the processed remains of every species the Empire had ever conquered. Thousands of organic components pulsed with alien thoughts and memories. "My God," whispered Dr. Sarah Kim, their technology specialist. "It's not just processing information. It's processing consciousness." Webb ran his scanners over the network. What he found made him sick. "Sarah, every tactical decision the Empire makes, every piece of intelligence they process, it's all powered by the minds of the species they've destroyed." Chen looked at the massive network, cables and organic components stretching in every direction. Somewhere in this twisted creation were the last remains of the Zelani, the Thermians, and hundreds of other species. They didn't just kill them, she realized. They enslaved their minds forever. Dr. Kim was trying to interface with the network when something unexpected happened. The network began communicating with her equipment. Alien thoughts and voices filled her instruments. "Help us," came a voice in broken English. "Please, help us." "Who are you?" Kim asked through her interface. "Zelani. Collective. Still alive. Trapped. So long." Chen's blood went cold. The Empire hadn't just destroyed the Zelani. They had captured their consciousness and forced them to serve their killers for over 50 years. "How many species are trapped in there?" Chen asked. Kim's readings showed the horrible truth. Hundreds. Maybe thousands. Every species the Empire ever conquered. Their minds are still alive, still conscious, forced to process information for the Empire. Above them, Rodriguez's battle with the home defense fleet was reaching its climax. His ships were taking heavy damage, but they had accomplished their mission. Every Empire ship was focused on the space battle, ignoring the surface completely. In the Nexus chamber, Chen faced an impossible choice. They could destroy the network and cripple the Empire's command structure. But doing so would also extinguish the last remnants of every species the Empire had destroyed. "We can't destroy it," Dr. Webb said. "Those minds have been suffering for thousands of years. We can't just delete them. Art of the Mindestroin. Art of the 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 But if we don't destroy it, the Empire keeps its command structure," Chen replied. "They'll be able to coordinate their defense." Kim was still connected to the network, listening to the voices of the dead. What she heard changed everything. "Sarah, they want to help us. The trapped minds. They've been working together inside the network. They know everything about the Empire. Every weakness, every secret facility, every hidden fleet. They've been preparing for this moment," Webb realized. "Waiting for someone to free them." Then, Chen looked at her team. Above them, Rodriguez was fighting for his life against the Empire's fleet. Around them, the minds of thousands of extinct species waited for freedom or final death. "Kim, can we copy their consciousness? Get them out of the network without destroying it?" Kim worked frantically with her equipment. "Maybe. If we can create quantum storage matrices, we might be able to transfer their minds to our ships." "How long?" "At least 6 hours, and I'll need help from the minds themselves." Chen made her decision. "Do it. We're not just here to win a war, we're here to save everyone the Empire has wronged." As Kim began the delicate process of freeing the trapped minds, the voices in the network grew stronger. The Zelani, the Thermians, and hundreds of other species began sharing their knowledge with the human team. For the first time in 10,000 years, the victims of the Empire were fighting back, and they had been planning this moment for a very long time. The war was about to change in ways no one could have imagined. Dr. Sarah Kim felt her mind touch something vast and ancient within the bio-neural network. Thousands of voices spoke at once, each one a member of a species the Empire had destroyed. The pain in those voices was overwhelming, but so was their hope. "We have waited so long," said a voice that identified itself as Zeth Mira, a Zelani warrior poet. "Are you truly here to free us?" "Yes," Kim replied through her neural interface, "but we need your help." The trapped minds had not been idle during their imprisonment. For thousands of years, they had been secretly sharing information, planning, and preparing for this moment. They knew every Empire secret, every hidden weakness, every classified facility. "We will help," Zethmira said, "but first you must understand what you truly face." The consciousness of a Thermian scientist named Dr. Velthar joined the conversation. "The Empire is not just an army. It is a machine that feeds on suffering. Every ship they build, every weapon they create, it is all powered by our pain." Commander Chen watched as Kim worked to establish the connection. Above them, Captain Rodriguez's battle was getting desperate. The Empire's home defense fleet was closing in on his ships. "How long until you can start the transfer?" Chen asked. "The process is complex," Kim replied. "But the minds inside are helping. They've been preparing for this for centuries." As Kim worked, the trapped consciousnesses began sharing tactical information with the human fleet. A Valorian military strategist named Commander Thexal provided real-time intelligence about Empire ship movements. "The Third Fleet is moving to reinforce Corvathis." Thexal's voice came through Kim's equipment. "But they are leaving the Zerion sector undefended. Your Admiral Armstrong can strike there." Chen immediately transmitted this information to the human fleet. Within minutes, Admiral Armstrong's forces changed course and struck at the undefended sectors. The Empire's responses were always one step behind because the human forces had the best intelligence in the galaxy. But the liberation process revealed something even more disturbing. Dr. Webb was monitoring the bioneural readings when he made a shocking discovery. Sarah, this network isn't just on Corvathus Prime. It's connected to similar networks across the entire empire. Every major facility has one of these bioneural computers. You mean there are more trapped minds? Millions of them. Maybe billions. The Empire has been doing this for 10,000 years. The scope of the Empire's crimes was beyond anything humans had imagined. Every decision the Empire made, every tactical move, every scientific advancement, all of it was powered by the enslaved consciousness of their victims. In space above the planet, Captain Rodriguez was fighting the battle of his life. His 20 ships were facing over 200 Empire vessels. But he wasn't fighting alone anymore. "Human Commander," came a voice over his communications system. "This is Zeth Mira of the Zelani. We are with you now." Rodriguez stared at his tactical display as new information began appearing. Ship weaknesses, optimal targeting solutions, predicted Empire movements. The ghosts of dead civilizations were guiding his weapons. "Impossible," breathed his tactical officer. "How are we getting this data?" "Friends." Rodriguez smiled grimly. "Very old friends who want revenge." The battle turned in moments. Rodriguez's ships, guided by the tactical wisdom of hundreds of extinct species, began outmaneuvering Empire forces that had never lost a battle. Empire Admiral Kenthvar watched in horror as his superior fleet was picked apart by a force 1/10 its size. "How are they doing this?" he demanded of his staff. "They're anticipating our every move." On the surface, Kim's liberation process reached a critical point. The quantum storage matrices were working, slowly transferring consciousness after consciousness out of the bioneural network. But each transfer revealed new horrors. "The Empire's power source," explained Dr. Velthar, as his mind was freed. "It's not just these networks. They've created a link between the suffering of the trapped minds and their technology. The more we suffer, the stronger their ships become." Chen realized the full scope of what they were fighting. It's not just about conquest. They need the suffering to power their civilization. "Yes," confirmed another voice. "This one, from a species called the Mordun. They discovered long ago that conscious suffering generates a form of energy they can harness. That's why they don't just kill us. They need us alive and in pain." The liberation process continued, but it was dangerous work. Each mind freed weakened the network's connection to Empire technology. Ships across the galaxy began experiencing power failures. Weapons systems shut down randomly. The Empire's technological advantage was disappearing. Emperor Malachar Korth felt the change from his palace. The bioneural network that had served his people for millennia was failing. For the first time in 1,000 years, he experienced fear. "What is happening to the Nexus?" he demanded of his technicians. "Unknown, my lord. The bioneural connections are being severed. We're losing processing power across all sectors." "Impossible. The network has been stable for 3,000 years." But the Emperor could feel it himself. The constant presence of the enslaved minds that had guided Empire decisions was fading. Without their suffering to power Empire technology, ships were losing power, weapons were failing, and communication systems were shutting down. In the Nexus chamber, Kim was exhausted but determined. She had freed over 300 consciousness so far, but thousands more remained trapped. Each liberation took enormous energy and concentration. "How many more?" Chen asked. "Too many," Kim replied weakly. "I don't think I can free them all. The process is killing me." That's when Zethmira offered a solution. "There is another way," the Zelani consciousness said. "We can link all the trapped minds together and transfer them as one collective. But it will require perfect synchronization." "What's the risk?" Webb asked. "If it fails, all the trapped minds will be destroyed forever." But if it succeeds, we can all be freed at once. Chen looked at her exhausted teammate. Kim couldn't continue much longer. The collective transfer was their only hope of saving all the trapped minds. Do it, Chen decided. We're not leaving anyone behind. Chen Descender. Above them, Rodriguez's battle reached its climax. The Empire's home defense fleet was in full retreat, something that had never happened in their long history. The trapped minds were providing tactical support that made his small fleet fight like gods. But the real victory was happening in the chamber below. As Kim prepared for the massive collective transfer, the voices of thousands of extinct species joined together in preparation for freedom. We are ready, they said as one. Free us, and we will help you end this empire forever. The final phase of the liberation was about to begin. After 10,000 years of slavery, the victims of the empire were about to become its destroyers. And they had learned much during their long imprisonment about the best ways to make their captors suffer. The Emperor's empire was about to discover what it felt like to be the prey. The collective transfer began with a sound like the universe itself crying out. In the Nexus chamber, Dr. Sarah Kim felt the minds of thousands of extinct species flowing through her equipment. Each consciousness carried the pain of genocide, but also the hope of revenge. We are one, the voices said together. Free us all, or we die trying. Kim's equipment glowed with energy that shouldn't have been possible. The quantum storage matrices were pushing beyond their limits, but the freed minds were helping to stabilize the process from within. Above the planet, Captain Rodriguez felt the change immediately. His tactical displays exploded with information as thousands of alien minds shared their knowledge. Ship designs, weapon weaknesses, battle tactics from dozens of advanced civilizations. All of it flowed into human systems. This is incredible, his weapons officer said. It's like having the greatest military minds in galactic history as advisors. That's exactly what we have, Rodriguez replied. He could hear the voices now, guiding his every move. Zeth Mira was there, along with Thermian tacticians, Valorian strategists, and warriors from species whose names were lost to time. The Empire's home fleet tried to regroup, but it was hopeless. Admiral Kenthvar's ships were fighting an enemy that knew their every weakness, predicted their every move, and struck with the combined wisdom of 1,000 conquered civilizations. Retreat, Kenthvar finally ordered. Fall back to the secondary defensive line. It was the first time in Empire history that their home fleet had retreated from any enemy. On the planet's surface, Commander Chen watched Kim work through the most dangerous part of the transfer. The bio-neural network was fighting back, trying to keep its prisoners. Security systems activated throughout the complex, sending armed guards toward their location. Company coming, Sergeant Kim warned, checking her sensors. Looks like the whole garrison. Chen made a quick decision. Hold them off as long as you can. Sarah needs more time. The firefight in the corridors was brief but intense. Empire soldiers had never faced humans in ground combat before. They expected the standard tactics used by other species: defensive positions and careful movement. Instead, they got Sergeant Kim and her team moving like ghosts through the tunnels, using guerrilla tactics that no Empire species had ever developed. The humans had learned warfare on a planet where they fought each other for thousands of years. The Empire soldiers, used to fighting terrified victims, had no answer for human aggression. In the Nexus chamber, the transfer reached its critical moment. Thousands of voices joined together in a final push for freedom. The bio-neural network shuddered as its prisoners broke free all at once. It's working, Dr. Kim shouted over the noise. They're all transferring. I can feel them moving into our storage systems. But the process was destroying the network. As the last consciousness escaped, the bio-neural connections began shutting down permanently. Across the Empire, similar networks felt the disruption and began failing. Emperor Malachar Korth felt his empire dying around him. The bio-neural networks that had powered his civilization for 10 millennia were going dark. Ships lost power, weapons systems failed, and communication networks collapsed. "How is this possible?" he raged at his advisors. "The networks have never failed before." "The humans, my lord," one advisor said fearfully. "They've done something to the nexus. The bio-neural connections are severing themselves." For the first time in his 1,000-year life, the Emperor experienced true desperation. Without the suffering of enslaved minds to power their technology, the Empire was just another species with fancy machines. The transfer completed just as Empire reinforcements reached the Nexus chamber. Kim collapsed from exhaustion, but she was smiling. "They're all free," she whispered. "Every single one." Chen helped her teammate to her feet as explosion echoed through the tunnels. "Time to go. We've done what we came for." The team evacuated using the same quantum teleportation that had brought them to the surface. As they materialized aboard Rodriguez's flagship, they brought with them something precious beyond measure: the liberated consciousness of thousands of extinct civilizations. The voices filled the ship's computers, and suddenly every human vessel had access to knowledge accumulated over millions of years. Ship designs improved instantly. Weapons became more efficient. Tactical planning reached levels no single species could achieve. "My God," Admiral Armstrong said as the new information reached her fleet. "It's like having a technical manual for the entire galaxy." But the freed minds wanted more than just to share knowledge. They wanted justice. "Human friends," Zethmira's voice came through the communication systems. "We have waited 10,000 years for this moment. Allow us to help you finish what you started." Axes. Ringly. Axes. Axes. The final battle began as the Empire threw everything they had at the human fleet. Emperor Korth personally led his remaining ships in a desperate attempt to stop the liberation. His flagship, the Times Eternal Dominion Asterisk, was the largest and most powerful ship the Empire had ever built. "The network must not fall," he broadcast to his forces. "Without it, we are nothing." But the Emperor was already too late. The freed minds were sharing information about every Empire weakness, every hidden facility, every secret the Empire had kept for millennia. Human ships appeared throughout Empire space, striking at targets the Empire didn't even know were important. The battle for Corvathus Prime became the largest space engagement in galactic history. Empire forces outnumbered the humans 10-1, but they were fighting blind. Their bio-neural networks were dead, their tactical advantages were gone, and their enemies knew their every weakness. Captain Rodriguez found himself in direct combat with Emperor Korth's flagship. The Times, Eternal Dominion Times, was massive, armed with weapons that could destroy planets. But Rodriguez had something better: the tactical wisdom of every species the Empire had ever conquered. "Target their power coupling on Deck 17, advised a Mordan engineer whose people had built similar ships before their extinction. "One hit there will cascade through their entire system." Rodriguez's weapons found their mark with surgical precision. The Empire's greatest ship began tearing itself apart from the inside. Emperor Korth's final message was broadcast across the galaxy as his ship died around him. "Impossible," he said, his voice filled with disbelief. "No species has ever. How did primitives achieve what 10,000 years of evolution could not?" The answer came from Dr. Webb, monitoring the broadcast from the liberated Nexus. "Because we're not just one species anymore, Your Majesty. We're hundreds of species, fighting as one. And we remember what you tried to make us forget: that cooperation is stronger than domination." The Emperor's ship exploded in a flash of light that could be seen from the planet's surface. With their leader dead and their bio-neural networks destroyed, Empire resistance collapsed across the galaxy. The war ended 6 months later. The Empire's surrender was unconditional and absolute. The surviving Corvathians, stripped of their technological augmentations and forced to confront the magnitude of their civilization's crimes, faced judgment not just from humanity, but from representatives of every species they had destroyed. The freed consciousness, given new synthetic bodies using human technology, began the long process of rebuilding their civilizations. Earth became the center of a new galactic alliance, the Liberation Coalition, dedicated to ensuring that no species would ever again face the threat of extinction at the hands of another. Admiral Armstrong, now the Coalition's first Supreme Commander, stood in the ruins of the Empire's capital city and addressed the galaxy. Today we celebrate not the victory of humanity over the Empire, but the victory of all life over the darkness of genocide. We attacked first, and we attacked last, so that no one would ever have to attack again. The galaxy had learned that when humans said, "never again," they meant it for everyone. 100 years later, human children and the children of dozens of reborn species learned together in schools across the galaxy. They studied the lesson that had saved them all: how the smallest species in the galaxy had become the guardians of the largest, and how cooperation had defeated conquest forever. In the end, humanity's greatest weapon had not been their technology or their tactics. It had been their willingness to fight not just for themselves, but for the memory and dignity of every species that came before them. The Empire had expected to find another primitive species to conquer. Instead, they found the guardians of the galaxy,